He had everything a man could want: wealth, power, and a picture-perfect bride waiting at the altar, until his past walked in carrying twin boys with his eyes. 5 years ago, Ethan Cross believed the worst about Maya Bennett, throwing her out of his mansion and his heart, never knowing she carried his children. What he didn't realize was that their love story had been sabotaged by those closest to him, a conspiracy of privilege that tore apart what money couldn't buy. Now, as his carefully constructed world crumbles around him, Ethan must decide between the life he thought he wanted and the family he never knew existed. Hit subscribe and drop a comment if you've ever witnessed a moment where someone's entire reality shattered in seconds, because trust me, this story will make you question everything you know about love, betrayal, and second chances. Morning sunshine streamed through the tall windows of the Cross estate, making the crystal chandeliers throw tiny rainbows across the cream-colored walls. Outside, cars pulled up one after another. Men in black suits and women in fancy dresses stepped out, all smiles and excitement. Today was Ethan Cross's wedding day. Inside his bedroom, Ethan stood in front of a full-length mirror, fixing his bow tie for the 3rd time. His fingers wouldn't stop shaking. Need help with that? Doctor? Nolan Hayes, his best friend and best man, walked in with a grin. You look like you're trying to solve a math problem instead of tying a bow tie. Ethan forced a smile. Just wedding jitters, I guess. But it wasn't just jitters. Something felt wrong. Like he was about to make a huge mistake. He had everything a man could want: a successful business, a mansion, and now he was marrying Olivia Reed, one of the most beautiful women in New York's high society. So why did his heart feel so empty? You're thinking too much again, Nolan said, fixing Ethan's tie with quick fingers. It's your wedding day. Try to enjoy it. Ethan nodded, but the knot in his stomach wouldn't go away. A soft knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. Sarah Green, his housekeeper for the past 15 years, peeked in. Mr. Cross, most of the guests have arrived, and Miss Reed is asking for you. Thank you, Sarah. I'll be right down. Sarah lingered in the doorway. The flower delivery just came in. The arrangements are beautiful. Something in her voice made Ethan look at her more closely. Sarah's face was pale, and her hands were clasped tightly together. Is everything okay? She nodded quickly. Yes, of course. It's just busy downstairs. As she turned to leave, Ethan caught a glimpse of the delivery form in her hand. His heart skipped a beat when he saw a name: Bennett Floral Designs. Bennett. It couldn't be. Sarkar Maya Bennett wiped her sweaty palms on her simple blue dress as she pulled her car up to the service entrance of the Cross estate. The 2 car seats in the back held her greatest treasures, her 5-year-old twin boys, Lucas and Liam. Mommy, is this where the rich people live? Lucas asked, his big brown eyes wide with wonder. Maya smiled at him in the rearview mirror. Yes, baby. This is where Mr. Cross lives. The man from the pictures? Liam asked, always one step ahead. Maya's heart clenched. She had tried so hard to keep Ethan Cross out of their lives, but sometimes when the boys were asleep, she would take out the old photo album. Inside was a single picture of her and Ethan, taken during happier times when she had worked as a maid in this very house. Yes, that man. She took a deep breath. Now remember what I told you. We're just delivering flowers, and then we're going straight home, okay? Okay, they chorused. Maya checked her reflection in the rearview mirror. At 34, she still looked young, though tired lines had formed around her eyes from years of raising twins alone while building her small floral business. Her curly black hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, and she wore just a touch of makeup. She hadn't planned to come here today. When the order for wedding flowers came to her small shop, she had nearly turned it down. But Sarah, her old mentor from her days working here, had called personally to ask for her help. "Please, Maya," Sarah had begged. "Our regular florist cancelled last minute. It's just for delivery and setup. You won't even have to see him." Maya had agreed for Sarah's sake, never imagining she would be bringing her children. But her babysitter had cancelled that morning, leaving her no choice. With a deep breath, Maya got out of the car and helped the twins unbuckle. "Hold my hands, boys." "And remember, don't touch anything." They walked toward the service entrance, but a colorful butterfly caught the twins' attention, and they broke free, chasing after it with delighted giggles. "Boys, come back," Maya called, but they were already running toward the garden path that led to the front of the house. In the grand hall of the Cross estate, Ethan stood greeting guests with a forced smile. Beside him, Olivia Reed glowed in a designer wedding gown that probably cost more than most people's yearly salary. "Smile properly, darling," Olivia whispered through her teeth. "The photographer from Vogue is here." Ethan tried harder, but his smile felt like a mask that might crack at any moment. He glanced at his watch. 30 minutes until the ceremony began. His father, Richard Cross, approached with a champagne flute in hand. At 65, Richard still stood tall and commanding, though recent years had added more silver to his hair. "Son," he said, placing a hand on Ethan's shoulder, "could I have a word in private?" Olivia frowned. "We're about to start, Richard." "Just 1 minute," Richard insisted, leading Ethan a few steps away. "What is it, Dad?" Ethan asked. Richard's eyes seemed troubled. "Are you sure about this marriage, son? You don't look happy." Ethan was surprised. His father had always pushed him toward connections with the right families, the right social circles. "I thought you approved of Olivia." "I do. The Reed family is excellent for business. But—" Richard hesitated. "Sometimes business isn't everything." Before Ethan could respond, excited childish voices filled the entrance hall. "Look, Mommy! It's like a castle. Mommy, can we live here?" Ethan turned toward the sounds, and the world stopped. There, standing frozen in the grand entrance, was Maya Bennett. Her hands gripped the shoulders of 2 small boys who looked about 5 years old. Both had light brown skin, curly hair, and eyes that were hauntingly familiar. Ethan's eyes. The room seemed to tilt beneath Ethan's feet. Maya looked different, more mature, more confident, but still as beautiful as the day she'd walked out of his life 5 years ago. And those boys. "Ethan!" Olivia's sharp voice cut through his shock. Who is that woman? And why is she staring at you? But Ethan couldn't answer. His heart was pounding too hard, his mind racing with impossible thoughts. Maya seemed equally stunned. She quickly tried to gather the boys, turning them away. "I'm sorry," she said to no one in particular. "The boys ran off. We're supposed to be at the service entrance." But it was too late. The twins had spotted Ethan and were pointing at him with excited recognition. "Mommy, is that your friend from the big house?" Liam asked loudly. "The one in your special picture?" A hush fell over the nearby guests. Olivia's face hardened into a mask of cold fury. "Ethan," she hissed, "what is going on?" Ethan couldn't answer. He couldn't even breathe. Without thinking, he moved toward Maya and the boys, drawn by a force he couldn't explain. "Maya," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Is that really you?" Maya's eyes filled with a mix of pain and defiance. "I'm just delivering flowers, Ethan. I didn't know you'd be in this part of the house." "Mommy, who is he?" Lucas asked, tugging at Maya's dress. Before she could answer, Sarah appeared, her face pale with worry. "Maya, I'm so sorry. I'll show you to the garden setup area." "No," Ethan said, more forcefully than he intended. "Wait." The guests were openly staring now, whispering behind their hands. Olivia stepped forward, her white dress rustling. "Ethan, the ceremony is about to start." Whatever this is can wait. But Ethan couldn't take his eyes off the twins. They had his eyes, his nose, even the way they tilted their heads when curious, just like him. "How old are they?" he asked Maya, ignoring Olivia completely. Maya hesitated, then answered, 5. 5 years. Exactly how long it had been since she'd left. "Are they—" He couldn't finish the question. Maya's chin lifted slightly. "We should go. Congratulations on your wedding." She tried to guide the boys away, but Ethan stepped forward, blocking their path. "Please," he said, his voice cracking. "I need to know." The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Guests were openly gaping now. Olivia's face had turned a dangerous shade of red. "Ethan Cross," she snapped. "Your guests are waiting. Your bride is waiting. This is completely inappropriate." Ethan barely heard her. "Maya, please." Maya looked at him with eyes full of hurt and something else. Pride, perhaps. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you," she said softly. Those words hit Ethan like a physical blow. Memories flooded back. Maya's tear-streaked face 5 years ago, claiming she'd been set up, that the letter he'd received about her betrayal was a lie. He hadn't believed her then. He'd been too hurt, too proud. "Ethan!" Olivia's voice was shrill now. "I demand you return to our guests this instant." Ethan finally looked at her, seeing clearly for the first time how different she was from Maya. Where Maya's eyes held warmth and depth, Olivia's were cold and calculating. Where Maya stood with quiet dignity despite her simple dress, Olivia used her designer gown as armor. "I need a minute," Ethan said, his voice surprisingly steady. He turned to the officiant, who had been watching the scene with wide eyes. "We need to delay the ceremony." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Olivia's mouth fell open in shock. "You cannot be serious," she hissed. "I'm very serious," Ethan replied. Then to the stunned guests, "Please excuse us. There will be a short delay. Please enjoy the refreshments." With that, he walked away from his own wedding, gesturing for Maya to follow him to his study. After a moment's hesitation, she did, holding the twins' hands tightly. As they walked away, Ethan caught his father's eye. Richard nodded once, a look of something like relief on his face. Maya's heart was racing as she followed Ethan into his study, a room she remembered well from her days working at the mansion. Nothing had changed. The same dark wood desk, the same leather chairs, the same wall of books. The twins looked around with wide eyes. "Wow," Lucas whispered. "So many books." "Can we touch them?" Liam asked Maya. "Not right now, sweetie." Maya kept her voice calm for the boys' sake, though inside she was falling apart. This was exactly what she had feared, coming face to face with Ethan again, having him see the boys. She had worked so hard to build a life without him, to raise her sons with pride and dignity, after being thrown out like yesterday's trash. Ethan closed the door behind them, then just stood there, staring at the twins with wonder and confusion on his face. "Please sit," he finally said, gesturing to the couch. Maya sat, pulling the boys close to her. "We shouldn't be here long. You have a wedding to get back to." Ethan ignored her comment. He knelt down in front of the couch, bringing himself eye level with the twins. "Hi there," he said softly. "I'm Ethan. What are your names?" The boys looked to Maya for permission. When she nodded, Lucas spoke first. "I'm Lucas, and this is my brother Liam. We're twins." "Identical twins," Liam added proudly. "That means we look exactly the same." Ethan smiled, his eyes suspiciously bright. "You do look alike, and you both have very nice names." "Mommy picked them," Lucas explained. "The L is for love," she says. Maya felt her cheeks grow warm. She had indeed chosen L names as a private reminder of the love she had once shared with Ethan, a love that had given her these beautiful boys. Ethan looked up at her, his eyes asking the question his lips couldn't form. Maya sighed. "Boys, would you like to look at the fish in that tank over there? Just look, don't touch." The twins eagerly jumped up and ran to the aquarium in the corner. Once they were out of earshot, Maya turned to Ethan. "What do you want me to say, Ethan? You threw me out 5 years ago. You refused to listen when I told you that letter was fake. You believed I would betray you after everything we shared." Pain flashed across Ethan's face. "I was wrong. I see that now. But Maya, those boys—" "Yes," she said simply. "They're yours." Ethan's breath caught. Even though he had suspected it from the moment he saw them, hearing the confirmation made his knees weak. He sank into the chair across from her. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice rough with emotion. Maya laughed bitterly. "I tried. The day you got that fake letter claiming I was sleeping with your business partner, I came to tell you I was pregnant. But you wouldn't even let me through the door." "You had security escort me out, remember?" Ethan closed his eyes, shame washing over him. He remembered that day all too well, the anonymous letter with photos doctored to make it look like Maya was secretly meeting with his rival, his rage and hurt, the cruel words he had thrown at her. "I should have listened," he said quietly. "Yes, you should have." Maya's voice was steady, but her hands trembled. "Instead, I had to figure out how to raise twins alone, with no job, no support." Do you have any idea how hard that was? Before Ethan could answer, a commotion outside the door interrupted them. The door flew open and Olivia burst in, her wedding dress swishing angrily around her. "Enough of this nonsense, Ethan," she snapped. "Our guests are waiting and you're in here with the help." Maya stiffened at the insult but kept her composure. "We were just leaving." "Wait," Ethan said, standing up. "Olivia, I need to talk to you, alone." Olivia's eyes narrowed as she looked from Ethan to Maya, then to the twins still fascinated by the fish tank. "Oh my God," she whispered, realization dawning on her face. "Those children, they look like you." Her voice rose to a shriek. "You cheated on me." "We weren't together 5 years ago, Olivia," Ethan reminded her, "and I didn't know about the boys until just now." "So they are yours?" Olivia's face contorted with rage. "You're admitting it." Maya stood up, gathering her dignity around her like a cloak. "Boys, come here, we're leaving now." The twins reluctantly left the fish tank and came to her side. "You're not going anywhere," Ethan said firmly. "Not until we sort this out." "There's nothing to sort out," Maya replied. "You made your choice 5 years ago." "Mommy, is the pretty lady mad?" Liam asked, looking up at Olivia's furious face. "She's just surprised, baby," Maya answered, smoothing his curly hair. "We need to go now." Olivia blocked the door. "This is insane. You can't just show up at our wedding with some story about secret children. Do you think Ethan will believe this? Do you think he'll give you money?" Maya's eyes flashed. "I have never asked Ethan for a penny, and I never will. Come on, boys." She tried to step around Olivia, but the bride wouldn't move. "Olivia, let them pass," Ethan said, his voice hard. "No, not until we get to the bottom of this con job." Outside the study, guests had gathered, drawn by the raised voices. Among them was Richard Cross, who pushed his way to the front. "What's going on here?" he demanded, then stopped short when he saw Maya and the twins. His face paled. "Maya, is that you?" Maya nodded stiffly. "Hello, Mr. Cross." Richard stared at the twins, recognition and shock dawning on his face. "These boys are none of your business," Olivia cut in. "This woman is trying to ruin our wedding with some paternity scam." "That's enough, Olivia," Ethan said sharply. He turned to the crowd of onlookers. "I apologize for the delay, everyone. Unfortunately, I need to address a private matter. The ceremony will be postponed." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Olivia's face went from red to white. "Postponed?" she choked out. "You can't be serious." "I'm very serious," Ethan replied, then turned to Maya. "Please don't go." "We need to talk properly." Maya hesitated. Part of her wanted to flee to protect herself and her boys from more hurt, but another part, the part that had never stopped loving Ethan, wanted answers. "Not here," she said finally. "Not like this. I'll meet you tomorrow at the park near my shop, 3 o'clock. Ethan nodded, relief washing over his face. "I'll be there." Maya took the twins' hands and led them through the parted crowd, head held high despite the whispers and stares. As they walked away, Lucas turned back to look at Ethan. "Bye, Mr. Ethan," he called, waving with his free hand. Ethan raised his hand in response, his throat too tight to speak. Back in his study, facing Olivia's rage and his father's shocked expression, Ethan felt as if he were waking from a 5-year sleep. Memories flooded back. Nights talking with Maya in the kitchen after everyone else had gone to bed. Her gentle laugh, the way she saw him as just Ethan, not the millionaire everyone else saw. And now there were two little boys with his eyes and her smile. His sons. For the first time in 5 years, Ethan felt truly alive. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. He paced the floor of his bedroom, his mind racing with questions and regrets. The wedding guests had left hours ago, confused and buzzing with gossip. Olivia had stormed out screaming that their relationship was over, but Ethan barely heard her. All he could think about was Maya and those two little boys with his eyes, his sons. The words still felt strange, wonderful and terrifying all at once. As the first light of dawn crept through his window, Ethan made a decision. He needed answers, the complete truth about what happened 5 years ago. He showered, threw on jeans and a simple button-up shirt and headed downstairs. The house was quiet, the staff not yet awake except for Sarah, who always started her day before sunrise. Ethan found her in the kitchen preparing coffee. "Sarah," he said, making her jump. "I need to talk to you." Sarah turned, her face lined with worry. "Mr. Cross, I'm sorry about yesterday." "Did you know?" Ethan asked, his voice gentle but firm. "About the twins?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She nodded slowly. "Yes, Maya told me when she found out she was pregnant. She was going to tell you that day, but—" She trailed off. "But I threw her out," Ethan finished, shame washing over him. "Because of that letter claiming she was cheating with James Turner." "She never cheated on you, Mr. Cross," Sarah said firmly. "She loved you more than anything. That letter was a lie." Ethan sank into a chair at the kitchen table, the same table where he and Maya had spent countless nights talking, laughing, sharing dreams. "Who sent it?" he asked. "Do you know?" Sarah hesitated, then seemed to make up her mind. "I didn't know then. But a few months later I overheard your mother talking to Mrs. Reed on the phone." "My mother? And Olivia's mother?" Ethan's stomach clenched. "What did you hear?" "Mrs. Reed was worried the plan might come out." "Your mother assured her it wouldn't, that Maya was gone for good and no one would ever know what they did." Anger surged through Ethan. His mother had passed away 2 years ago, taking her secrets to the grave, and all this time he had believed the worst about Maya. "There's something else," Sarah said, her voice dropping to a whisper. She went to a drawer and pulled out a small, yellowed envelope. "Maya left this for you. I was supposed to give it to you, but your mother intercepted it. I found it among her things after she died." With trembling hands, Ethan opened the envelope. Inside was a small square of paper, a pregnancy test, with 2 pink lines. Written on the back in Maya's neat handwriting, "Ethan, our miracle. Please call me. I love you. Maya." Ethan's vision blurred with tears. "She tried to tell me," he whispered, "and I wouldn't listen." Sarah put a gentle hand on his shoulder. "It's not too late to make things right, Mr. Cross." Ethan looked up at her, determination replacing his regret. "No, it's not, and I'm going to start today." In a small apartment across town, Maya was also awake early, packing lunchboxes for the twins. They would spend the morning at her shop playing in the back room while she finished a wedding order. Not Ethan's wedding anymore, but another one scheduled for the weekend. "Mommy, are we going to see Mr. Ethan again today?" Liam asked, munching on his cereal. Maya's hands stilled. "Yes, baby, we're meeting him at the park this afternoon." "Is he our friend?" Lucas asked. Maya didn't know how to answer. What was Ethan to them? A stranger who happened to be their father? A man who had broken her heart and never knew they existed? "He's someone I used to know," she said finally. "And he wants to meet you both properly." "I liked his fish tank," Liam said. "It had Nemo fish in it." Maya smiled despite her nervousness. Her boys were so innocent, so untouched by the complicated history between her and Ethan. The doorbell rang, surprising her. It was barely 7 a.m. When she opened the door, her best friend Lena stood there, coffee cup in hand and worry on her face. "I got your text," Lena said, stepping inside. "Tell me everything." Maya had messaged Lena last night, just a brief. "Ran into E at the wedding. He saw the boys, meeting him tomorrow." "The boys are eating breakfast," Maya said quietly. "I'll tell you in the kitchen." Once they were alone, Maya poured out the whole story. The shock of seeing Ethan, his reaction to the twins, the confrontation with his bride, and the agreement to meet today. "Oh, honey," Lena said when she finished, "what are you going to do?" Maya shook her head, fighting tears. "I don't know. For 5 years, I've built a life without him. I've raised the boys alone, started my business, made a home. And now he knows about his sons," Lena finished. "That changes everything. What if he wants custody?" Maya's greatest fear tumbled out. "What if he tries to take them from me? He's got money, lawyers, everything." Lena squeezed her hand. "He won't. Even Ethan Cross isn't that heartless." "You didn't see his face when he looked at the boys," Maya said softly. "It was like something clicked into place for him, like he found something he didn't know he was missing." "That doesn't mean he'll try to take them. Maybe he just wants to be part of their lives." Maya wasn't sure which scared her more, Ethan fighting for custody or Ethan becoming a regular presence in their lives. Both meant reopening a wound she'd spent 5 years trying to heal. "What about your heart?" Lena asked gently. "Seeing him again, after all this time." Maya looked away. "That's over. It was over the moment he believed I could betray him." But even as she said the words, Maya knew they weren't entirely true. Something had stirred in her chest when she saw Ethan again, a feeling she had buried deep but never truly lost. "Just be careful," Lena said, "with the boys and with your heart." At exactly 3 o'clock, Maya arrived at the small neighborhood park with the twins. Her stomach was in knots as she watched them run toward the slide, their identical blue t-shirts making it easy to spot them in the crowd of children. She scanned the park, wondering if Ethan would actually show up. Part of her hoped he wouldn't, that he'd changed his mind about wanting to know the twins. It would be easier that way, painful, but easier. Then she saw him walking through the gate. He wasn't wearing his usual business suit, just jeans and a casual shirt, his hair slightly mussed by the breeze. He looked more like the Ethan she had fallen in love with, before success and family expectations had built walls around him. He spotted her and walked over, his eyes never leaving her face. "You came," he said simply. "I said I would." Maya's voice was cooler than she intended. Ethan nodded, accepting her tone. "Thank you for giving me a chance to talk." An awkward silence fell between them. 5 years ago, conversation had flowed easily, laughter always ready to bubble up. Now they were like strangers with too much history. "The boys are at the slide," Maya said finally. "Lucas is in the blue shirt with a dinosaur on it. Liam has the same shirt but with a rocket." Ethan looked over, his face softening as he watched the twins take turns sliding down, their laughter carrying across the playground. "They're amazing," he said softly. "So full of life." "They are," Maya agreed, pride warming her voice. "They're smart too, already reading at a second-grade level." "Like their mother," Ethan said, a small smile touching his lips. He had always admired how Maya devoured books, educating herself well beyond the high school diploma that was her only formal education. Maya glanced at him, surprised by the compliment. "I talked to Sarah this morning," Ethan said, his voice growing serious, "and I found this." He pulled out the pregnancy test note Maya had left years ago. Maya's breath caught. "Where did you get that?" "Sarah had it. My mother intercepted it before I could see it." Ethan's eyes were filled with regret. "Maya, I am so sorry. I should have trusted you. I should have listened when you tried to tell me about the baby. About our babies." The sincerity in his voice made Maya's carefully built walls tremble. "It doesn't matter now," she said, looking away. "It's in the past." "It does matter," Ethan insisted. "I missed 5 years of their lives because of a lie my mother and Olivia's mother created to break us apart." Maya turned to him in shock. "What?" "Sarah overheard them talking. They created that fake letter together, making it look like you were seeing James behind my back. They wanted me to marry someone from our circle, not—" He trailed off. "Not the maid," Maya finished, old hurt making her voice sharp. Ethan winced. "I never saw you that way." "You know that." "Do I?" Maya challenged. "You were quick enough to believe I was using you, quick enough to throw me out without even letting me explain." "I was wrong," Ethan admitted. "I was hurt and stupid and proud. But Maya, if I had known about the babies—" "But you didn't," she said flatly. "And I raised them alone. I built a life for us without your help." Before Ethan could respond, 2 small tornadoes of energy crashed into Maya's legs. "Mommy, we saw a frog!" Lucas exclaimed. "It was this big," Liam added, spreading his hands wide. Maya knelt down to their level, grateful for the interruption. "That's amazing. Where did you see it?" "By the little pond," Lucas said, then noticed Ethan. "Hi, Mr. Ethan. Did you come to see the frog too?" Ethan knelt down too, bringing himself to the boy's eye level. "I didn't know about the frog, but I'd love to see it. Would you show me?" The twins looked at Maya for permission. When she nodded, they each grabbed one of Ethan's hands and pulled him toward the small decorative pond at the edge of the park. Maya followed, her heart in her throat, as she watched Ethan with her sons. He was gentle with them, listening intently to their chatter, answering their endless questions with patience. The boys, usually shy around strangers, had taken to him immediately. It was as if some invisible connection already existed between them, some bond that couldn't be broken, even by 5 years of absence. At the pond, they all crouched down, searching for the frog. "There he is," Liam pointed excitedly at a small green frog sitting on a lily pad. "He's a handsome fella," Ethan said, making both boys giggle. "Mommy says frogs start as tadpoles," Lucas informed him. "They don't have legs first, then they grow them." "That's right," Ethan said. "They change completely as they grow up. It's called metamorphosis." Meta, Liam tried to repeat the word. "Metamorphosis," Ethan said again, slowly. "It means changing from one thing into another, like magic." "Like Transformers?" Lucas asked excitedly. Ethan laughed. "Sort of like that, yes." Maya watched them, a lump in her throat. This was what the boys had missed. A father to explain things, to laugh with them, to show them the world through a different set of eyes. After a while, the twins spotted friends from their preschool class and ran off to play on the jungle gym, leaving Maya and Ethan alone again. "They're incredible," Ethan said, watching them climb. "You've done an amazing job with them." "Thank you," Maya said softly. "I want to be part of their lives, Maya," Ethan said, turning to face her. "I know I have no right to ask, but I want to know my sons." Maya had been expecting this, but it still sent a wave of fear through her. "What does that mean exactly?" "Whatever you're comfortable with to start," Ethan said. "Visits like this. Maybe I could take them to the zoo sometime or to a ball game." "And then what?" Maya asked, voicing her deepest fear. "You get tired of playing daddy and disappear? Or worse, you decide you want custody and use your money and lawyers to take them from me?" Hurt flashed across Ethan's face. "I would never try to take them from you. Never. They need their mother. I just want a chance to be their father." The sincerity in his voice touched something in Maya's heart. Despite everything, she knew Ethan was a good man at his core. Misguided and proud, yes, but not cruel. "We'll take it slow," she said finally. "Very slow, one step at a time." Relief washed over Ethan's face. "Thank you. That's all I ask." He hesitated, then added, "There's something else. I'd like to help financially. College funds for the boys, health insurance, whatever they need." Maya stiffened. "We don't need your money." "I know you don't need it," Ethan said quickly. "You've proven that. But they're my sons too, and I want to contribute. Please, Maya, let me do this one thing for them." Maya wavered. She had managed on her own, but it hadn't been easy. The boys would need braces soon, and college was an expense that kept her awake at night. "I'll think about it," she said finally. Ethan nodded, accepting that as a victory. "There's one more thing." "What?" Maya asked warily. "Your shop. Sarah told me business has been slow." Maya frowned. "My business is none of your concern." "I know, but I have some contacts in the event planning world. I could put in a good word, that's all. No strings attached." Maya wanted to refuse out of pride, but her practical side knew her little shop was struggling. She had poured every penny of her savings into it, determined to build something of her own after being fired from the Cross household. But competition was fierce, and she was barely breaking even most months. "I'll think about that too," she said. Ethan smiled, and for a moment, Maya saw echoes of the man she had fallen in love with. The real Ethan beneath the millionaire exterior, the man who had once spent hours helping her study for her GED, who had listened to her dreams with genuine interest. "Mommy!" Lucas called, running back to them. "Can we have ice cream? The truck is here." The ice cream truck's familiar tune was playing at the park entrance. Maya hesitated. Treats like ice cream were carefully budgeted luxuries. "I'll get it," Ethan offered. "If that's okay?" Maya nodded, and Ethan took each twin by the hand, walking them to the ice cream truck. She watched as he lifted Liam up to see all the choices, as he patiently waited while Lucas changed his mind 3 times, as he paid for their treats and helped them with napkins. It was such a simple, normal scene, a father buying his sons ice cream. But for Maya, who had handled everything alone for so long, it brought tears to her eyes. When they returned, ice cream dripping down their chins, the boys were chattering excitedly about all the flavors they wanted to try next time. Mr. "Ethan says they have bubblegum ice cream with real gum inside," Lucas exclaimed. "And he's going to take us to the zoo to see lions," Liam added. Maya shot Ethan a look. "If it's okay with your mum," Ethan quickly amended. "Someday, maybe." The boys turned pleading eyes to Maya. "Can we, Mommy? Please?" "We'll see," Maya said, the universal parent answer that was neither yes nor no. They spent another hour at the park, the awkwardness between Maya and Ethan gradually easing as they focused on the twins. The boys were naturals at bridging the gap, pulling both adults into their games and conversations. As the afternoon wore on, dark clouds gathered overhead, threatening rain. "We should go," Maya said, gathering the boys' backpacks. "It looks like a storm is coming." "I'll walk you to your car," Ethan offered. As they reached Maya's old sedan, the first fat raindrops began to fall. The boys scrambled into their car seats, excited by the thunder rumbling in the distance. Maya turned to Ethan. "Thank you for today. The boys had fun." "So did I," Ethan said softly. "More than I can say." An awkward pause followed, both of them standing in the increasing rain, neither quite ready to say goodbye. "Maya," Ethan began, "I know I hurt you. I know I can't undo the past 5 years. But I want you to know that not a day went by that I didn't think about you. Wonder where you were if you were happy." Maya felt her resolve weakening. "Ethan, don't—" "I need to say this," he insisted. "What we had was real. It wasn't just a fling or an office romance. You were the only person who ever saw me, really saw me, not my money or my name, but me." The rain was falling harder now, plastering Ethan's shirt to his shoulders, dripping from his hair. But he didn't seem to notice. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," he continued. "I don't deserve it. I'm just asking for a chance to know my sons, and maybe, someday, a chance to show you that I've changed." Maya's heart pounded in her chest. Part of her wanted to believe him, to let him back into her life, into her heart. But another part, the part that had cried herself to sleep for months after he cast her out, was terrified of trusting him again. "I need to go," she said, her voice barely audible over the rain. "The boys are waiting." Ethan nodded, disappointment clear in his eyes, but as Maya turned to get in the car, he caught her hand gently. "Maya, just tell me one thing. Do you hate me?" The question caught her off guard. She looked up at him, rain mingling with the tears she couldn't hold back anymore. "No," she whispered. "I don't hate you. That would be easier." Relief washed over his face. "Tomorrow, your shop. I'll stop by to talk about those event planning contacts." Maya nodded. "Goodbye, Ethan." "Not goodbye," he corrected gently. "See you tomorrow." As Maya drove away, the twins chattering happily in the back seat about their new friend, Mr. Ethan, she tried to steady her breathing. Her carefully built world was shifting beneath her feet, and she didn't know if she was ready for the change. But looking in the rearview mirror at her boys, at Ethan's sons, she knew she had no choice. For their sake, she would find a way forward. Teostadi, that evening after putting the twins to bed, Maya found herself looking through the small box of mementos she kept hidden in her closet. Inside was the single photo of her and Ethan, taken at a staff picnic 5 years ago. They weren't touching in the photo, they had kept their relationship secret, but the way they were looking at each other spoke volumes. Next to it was a small velvet pouch containing the only gift she had kept from him, a simple silver bracelet with a charm shaped like a book. He had given it to her after she passed her GED test, a nod to her love of reading. Maya touched the charm, memories washing over her. Ethan encouraging her studies, staying up late to help her prepare for tests, believing in her abilities more than she did herself. The hurt when he had turned on her so completely, believing the worst without giving her a chance to explain. But today, seeing him with the twins, watching his face as he realized he was a father, it had awakened feelings she thought were long dead. A knock on her apartment door startled her. It was nearly 10 p.m., too late for visitors. Cautiously, she looked through the peephole, then gasped. Ethan stood there, soaking wet, looking like he'd been standing in the rain for hours. Maya opened the door. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" "I couldn't wait until tomorrow," he said, his voice ragged. "I had to see you tonight." "The boys are asleep. It's not about the boys. It's about us." Maya's heart skipped. "There is no us, Ethan. Not anymore." "I know," he said quickly, "and that's my fault. But Maya, when I saw you today with our sons, I realized something. I've been sleepwalking through the last 5 years. Nothing in my life has felt real since you left." "Since you made me leave," she corrected. He nodded, accepting the blame. "Yes, since I made the biggest mistake of my life." He ran a hand through his wet hair. "I'm not asking you to forgive me or to love me again. I'm just asking for honesty between us, for the boys' sake." Maya hesitated, then stepped back, letting him enter her small apartment. It was neat but modest, a far cry from the luxury he was used to. Ethan looked around, taking in the toys scattered in the living room, the children's artwork on the fridge, the second-hand furniture Maya had carefully chosen and lovingly maintained. "You've made a real home here," he said softly. "We've been happy," Maya replied, suddenly self-conscious about the worn couch, the patched curtains. Ethan turned to her, his eyes intense. "I want to be part of that happiness, Maya. Not to take over or change things, but to add to it." "To be there for Lucas and Liam, and for you if you'll let me." Maya's breath caught. "Ethan!" "Just think about it," he said quickly. "That's all I ask. Think about letting me be part of your lives again, in whatever way works for you and the boys." Before Maya could respond, a small voice came from the hallway. "Mommy, I heard talking." Lucas stood there in his dinosaur pajamas, rubbing his eyes sleepily. When he spotted Ethan, his face lit up. "Mister." "Ethan, did you come to read us a story?" Ethan looked to Maya, unsure how to respond. She hesitated, then nodded slightly. "If that's okay with your mum, I'd love to," Ethan said. Lucas ran to him, grabbing his hand. "Come on, we're reading about dragons." As Ethan let himself be led to the boys' bedroom, Maya followed, her heart a jumble of emotions. She watched from the doorway as Lucas climbed back into bed, waking Liam in the process. "Look who's here," Lucas announced to his groggy brother. "Mr. Ethan?" Liam sat up, instantly awake. "Are you going to sleep over?" Ethan laughed softly. "No, buddy. Just stopping by to say goodnight." "Read us the dragon book," Lucas insisted, pulling a well-worn storybook from beside his bed. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, and to Maya's amazement, both boys immediately snuggled against him as if it were the most natural thing in the world. As he began to read, his deep voice bringing the story to life, Maya leaned against the doorframe, tears threatening. This was what they had all been missing, what should have been, and maybe, just maybe, what could still be. The next morning, Maya woke to the sounds of the twins chattering in their room. She smiled, stretching in bed, until memories of last night flooded back. Ethan in her apartment. Ethan reading bedtime stories to the boys. Ethan looking at her with those eyes that still made her heart skip. She sat up quickly. Things were moving too fast. Just 3 days ago, Ethan didn't even know he had sons. Now he was reading them bedtime stories and talking about being part of their lives. "Slow down," she whispered to herself, "one step at a time." In the kitchen, Maya found the twins already attempting to pour cereal, milk sloshing dangerously close to the edge of their bowls. "Careful, boys," she said, rushing to help. "We don't want a milk flood." "Mommy, is Mr. Ethan coming back today?" Liam asked, his mouth full of cereal. "Don't talk with your mouth full, sweetie," Maya reminded him gently. "And I don't know. He might stop by the shop later." "I like him," Lucas declared. "He does good dragon voices." "Yeah," Liam agreed. "And he promised to show us how to play baseball." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Did he now?" "Uh-huh. When we're done with the dragon book." Lucas nodded seriously. "He said we can go to a real baseball field." Maya sighed. Ethan was already making promises, getting the boys excited. What would happen when he realized how much work parenting really was, when the novelty wore off? Her phone pinged with a text message. It was from Ethan. Good morning, thank you for last night. The boys are amazing. Still planning to stop by your shop today. Is noon okay? Maya typed back, Noon works. The boys will be at preschool. His reply came quickly. Perfect. Say you then. Maya spent the morning at Bennett Floral Designs, her small shop in a quiet neighborhood far from the upscale areas where Ethan did business. After dropping the boys at preschool, she threw herself into work, trying to focus on a wedding arrangement rather than her complicated feelings. The bell above the door jingled at exactly noon. Maya looked up to see Ethan standing there, looking far too handsome in a casual button-up shirt and dark jeans. He held a paper bag in one hand. Thought you might be hungry, he said, holding up the bag. I remember you used to love these sandwiches from Marino's. Maya was touched that he remembered her favorite deli. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to. He placed the bag on the counter, then looked around the shop. This place is lovely, Maya. You've done an amazing job. The shop was small but charming, with fresh flowers everywhere, and Maya's artistic arrangements displayed in vintage vases. Pictures drawn by the twins were proudly taped behind the counter. Thank you, Maya said, genuinely pleased by his approval. It's been hard work, but I love it. I can tell. Ethan smiled. Your passion shows in everything. A comfortable silence fell between them as Maya unwrapped her sandwich. She gestured for Ethan to take the stool beside the counter while she perched on her own. So, she said between bites, you mentioned something about business contacts? Right. Ethan pulled out his phone. I have friends who run major events in the city, charity galas, corporate parties, that sort of thing. They're always looking for unique floral designs, something different from the standard hotel arrangements. Maya tried to hide her excitement. Those kinds of events could transform her business overnight. I'm not asking for favors, she said carefully. It's not a favor, Ethan assured her. Your work is exceptional. I'm just making introductions. What they decide after seeing your portfolio is up to them. He showed her a list of names: event planners, hotel managers, charity directors, all potential clients with deep pockets and regular needs for floral arrangements. I've already texted a few of them, Ethan continued. They're interested in meeting you. Maya was overwhelmed. Ethan, I don't know what to say. Say you'll meet with them, he replied simply. That's all. No strings attached. This is about your talent, nothing else. Their eyes met, and for a moment Maya felt that old connection between them, a mutual respect and understanding that had formed the foundation of their relationship before everything fell apart. Okay, she said finally, I'll meet with them. Ethan's face lit up with a smile. Great, I think you'll hit it off with Sophia Jensen especially. She runs the Children's Hospital Gala, and she's been looking for a fresh approach. As they ate their sandwiches, the conversation shifted to the twins. They're so bright, Ethan said proudly. Lucas notices everything, and Liam, he has such an imagination. Maya nodded. Lucas is our little scientist. He collects bugs and wants to know how everything works. Liam's our storyteller. He makes up these amazing tales about dragons and knights. I noticed, Ethan chuckled. Last night he told me the dragon in the book was actually a nice dragon who just had bad breath. Maya laughed. That sounds like Liam. Maya, Ethan said, his voice growing serious. I meant what I said last night. I want to be part of their lives, really be there, not just for the fun stuff. Maya studied his face, looking for any sign that he wasn't sincere. Parenting isn't easy, Ethan. It's tantrums and sleepless nights and endless questions. It's worrying about money for doctor visits and staying up when they're sick. I know I have a lot to learn, Ethan admitted. But I want to learn. I've missed 5 years. I don't want to miss any more. The bell above the door jingled again. A customer walked in, browsing the ready-made bouquets in the cooler. I should help them, Maya said, standing up. Ethan nodded. Of course. I'll let you work. But Maya, can I see the boys this weekend? Maybe take them to the park again, or to that children's museum they have downtown. Maya hesitated, then nodded. Saturday morning, but I'll come too. We're still taking this slow, remember? Absolutely, Ethan agreed quickly. Saturday morning it is. I'll pick you all up at 9. That works, Maya said, then turned to help her customer, trying to ignore the flutter in her stomach at the thought of spending more time with Ethan. Saturday morning dawned bright and clear. The twins were up at dawn, too excited about their outing with Mr. Ethan to sleep in. By the time Ethan's car pulled up outside their apartment building, they were watching at the window, bouncing with impatience. He's here! He's here! Lucas shouted, racing to the door. Maya caught him before he could fling it open. Hold on, mister. Let's not break down the door. She opened it to find Ethan about to knock, a smile spreading across his face when he saw the boys. Good morning, he said cheerfully. The twins launched themselves at him, wrapping around his legs. To his credit, Ethan didn't flinch at their enthusiasm, kneeling down to greet them properly. Are you guys ready for an adventure? He asked. Yes, they shouted in unison. We've been ready for hours, Maya said wryly. They've been up since 6. Ethan laughed. Sorry about that, I brought coffee, he added, holding up a tray with 2 cups. I remember you like it with just a little sugar. Maya was touched that he remembered such a small detail from their time together years ago. Thank you. The Children's Museum was a hit. The twins ran from exhibit to exhibit, their energy seemingly endless. Maya watched in amazement as Ethan kept up with them, showing none of the impatience she'd expected from someone used to board rooms rather than playrooms. At the bubble station, Ethan showed the boys how to create giant bubbles, his face lighting up with as much delight as theirs when he succeeded. At the construction zone, he helped them build a tower taller than themselves, then laughed when it came crashing down. Again, again, Liam demanded, and Ethan obliged, starting a new tower without complaint. Later, they visited the dinosaur exhibit, where Lucas bombarded Ethan with facts about T-Rex teeth and Stegosaurus plates. Did you know T-Rex couldn't even touch its hands together? Lucas informed Ethan seriously. Their arms were too short. I didn't know that, Ethan replied, giving the boy his full attention. That's pretty cool. Maya watched them from a nearby bench, emotions swirling inside her. Seeing Ethan with the boys was both wonderful and painful. Wonderful to see her sons so happy. Painful to think of all the moments like this they'd missed over the years. "They're really taking to him," a voice said beside her. Maya looked up to see an elderly woman smiling at the scene. "Yes, they are," Maya agreed. "Your husband is so good with them," the woman continued. "Not all men have that kind of patience." Maya opened her mouth to correct her, then stopped. What was Ethan to her now? Not her boyfriend or husband, but not quite a stranger either. The father of her children, yes, but what did that make them to each other? "Thank you," she said finally, letting the assumption stand. After the museum, they had lunch at a nearby pizza place, the twins chattering non-stop about everything they'd seen and done. "Mr. Ethan, do you like dinosaurs too?" Liam asked, pizza sauce smeared across his cheek. "I do," Ethan replied. "When I was about your age, I wanted to be a paleontologist." "What's that?" Lucas asked. "A scientist who studies dinosaur bones," Ethan explained. "I used to dig up my mom's garden looking for fossils." "Can we dig up our garden?" Liam asked Maya excitedly. "We don't have a garden, silly," Lucas reminded his brother. "We live in an apartment." A shadow passed over Ethan's face, a reminder of the different worlds they lived in, his sprawling estate with gardens and pools, their small two-bedroom apartment with no outdoor space. "Maybe we could dig in the park sometime," Ethan suggested. "Or at the beach. There are lots of cool things to find there too." The twins' faces lit up at the mention of the beach. "Can we go today?" Lucas asked hopefully. "Not today, buddy," Maya said gently, "but maybe soon." Ethan caught her eye across the table. "Maybe next weekend, if the weather's good." Maya hesitated, then nodded. "We'll see." After lunch, as they walked back to Ethan's car, Liam slipped his small hand into Ethan's. A moment later, Lucas did the same on Ethan's other side. The simple gesture brought tears to Maya's eyes, which she quickly blinked away. The drive home was quiet, both boys falling asleep in their car seats, worn out from their big day. "They had a great time," Maya said softly, looking back at their sleeping faces. "So did I," Ethan replied. "More than I can say." When they reached the apartment, Ethan carefully carried Lucas while Maya took Liam, both children still fast asleep. They laid them in their beds, slipping off their shoes, but leaving them in their clothes for their nap. Back in the living room, an awkward silence fell between them. "Thank you for today," Maya said. "The boys loved it." "Thank you for letting me be part of it," Ethan replied. He hesitated, then added, "Maya, there's something I need to tell you." Maya tensed. "What is it?" "Olivia's threatening to go to the press with a story about us, about the boys. She's angry about the cancelled wedding, and she wants to hurt me." Maya sank onto the couch, her heart racing. "What kind of story?" "That I've been hiding secret children all these years, that I abandoned you when you were pregnant." Ethan ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "It's all lies, but the press won't care about that." "You didn't know about the twins," Maya pointed out. "You can't be blamed for abandoning children you didn't know existed." "I know," Ethan sighed, "but the truth won't make headlines." Millionaire discovers he has twins isn't as juicy as Millionaire abandons pregnant maid. Maya winced at the word maid. Even after all these years, the reminder of their different social positions stung. "What do you want me to do?" she asked. "Nothing," Ethan said quickly. "I'm handling it. I just wanted to warn you in case reporters start sniffing around. They might try to talk to you, or even the boys." Fear gripped Maya's heart. "The boys? No, I won't let them get dragged into this." "I agree completely," Ethan said firmly. "I've already hired extra security. If anyone bothers you or tries to approach the boys, call this number immediately." He handed her a business card with a name and phone number. "That's Tom. He's head of my security team. He'll help if you need it." Maya took the card, the reality of Ethan's world crashing back into hers. Reporters, security teams. This wasn't her life. But now, because of the twins, it might become part of it. "I'm sorry," Ethan said softly, seeing her distress. "I never wanted to bring this kind of chaos into your lives." "It's not your fault," Maya said, though part of her wanted to blame him. "We'll handle it." Ethan reached for her hand, holding it gently in his. "We will. Together. I promise, Maya. I won't let anything happen to you or the boys." The sincerity in his voice, the strength in his grip. It all reminded Maya of why she had fallen in love with him in the first place. Beneath the wealthy businessman exterior was a man who cared deeply, who protected what he loved. And she could see in his eyes that he was starting to love the twins, even after just a few days. "I should go," Ethan said, releasing her hand reluctantly. "Let the boys rest." Maya walked him to the door. "Ethan, be careful with Olivia. She comes from a family that's used to getting what they want." Ethan nodded grimly. "I know. Better than most." On impulse, Maya reached up and hugged him quickly. "Thank you for today, really." Ethan's arms came around her, strong and familiar. For just a moment, Maya allowed herself to lean into him, to remember how it felt to be held by him. "I'll call you tomorrow," he whispered, then released her and walked away. Maya closed the door, leaning against it, her heart pounding in her chest. This was dangerous territory. Not just Olivia's threats, but her own feelings, reawakening despite her best efforts to keep them buried. The next few weeks fell into a pattern. Ethan visited the twins regularly, sometimes taking them to parks or museums, always with Maya along. He stopped by the shop often, bringing lunch or just checking in. Thanks to his connections, Maya's business began to flourish, with 3 major event contracts signed. The boys adored him more each day, running to the door whenever he knocked, fighting over who got to sit next to him at dinner. They still called him Mr. Ethan, but the formality felt increasingly out of place as he became a fixture in their lives. For Maya, each day brought confusion. She was grateful for Ethan's presence in the twins' lives, for the joy he brought them, but she was also wary, waiting for the other shoe to drop. And drop it did, one sunny afternoon in May. Maya was arranging flowers at her shop when the bell jingled. Looking up, she expected to see Ethan. He often stopped by around this time. Instead, she found herself face to face with Olivia Reed. "Well," Olivia said, her voice dripping with disdain, "so this is where he's been spending all his time." Maya straightened, wiping her hands on her apron. "The shop is closed for lunch. Please come back in an hour." "I'm not here to buy flowers," Olivia snapped. "I'm here to talk about Ethan." Maya sighed. "There's nothing to discuss." "Oh, I think there is." Olivia stepped further into the shop, her designer heels clicking on the wooden floor. "Do you really think he's serious about playing daddy to your kids, or about slumming it with you?" Maya felt her temper rise but kept her voice steady. "What Ethan does is his business, and mine, not yours." "He was mine until you showed up at our wedding," Olivia hissed. "5 years of my life, planning a future with him, all ruined because you couldn't keep your little secret any longer." "I didn't plan any of this," Maya said truthfully. "I never expected to see Ethan again. The flower delivery was just a coincidence." "Right," Olivia scoffed. "A convenient coincidence that got you back into his life, and his wallet." Maya's patience snapped. "I have never asked Ethan for money." "Not when I found out I was pregnant, not when I struggled to raise twins alone, not now. So don't you dare accuse me of being after his money." Olivia seemed taken aback by Maya's intensity, but recovered quickly. "Maybe not directly, but look at this place." She gestured around the shop. "Suddenly getting high-end clients, suddenly thriving. We both know that's Ethan's doing." Maya couldn't deny it. Ethan's connections had transformed her struggling business. "Ethan helped with introductions," she admitted, "but I earned those contracts with my work." "Keep telling yourself that," Olivia sneered. "But here's what's really happening. Ethan feels guilty. He's trying to make up for lost time with those kids, and you're the unfortunate package deal. Once the novelty wears off, he'll go back to his real life, a life you could never fit into." The words hit Maya like a physical blow, voicing her deepest fears. "You need to leave," Maya said, her voice shaking slightly. "Now." "Oh, I'm going," Olivia said, turning toward the door. "But remember what I said. You might have won this round, but Ethan Cross belongs in my world, not yours. He'll realize that eventually." She paused at the door, a cold smile on her perfect lips. "By the way, those pictures of you all at the Children's Museum? So cute. They'll look lovely in the society pages next week." With that, she was gone, leaving Maya trembling with anger and fear. Maya immediately called Ethan, who arrived at the shop 15 minutes later, his face dark with concern. "She was here?" he demanded. "What did she say?" Maya repeated Olivia's visit and her parting threat about photos. Ethan's jaw tightened. "I'll handle it," he promised. "She won't publish those pictures." "But what if she does?" Maya asked, genuinely frightened now. "The boys would be exposed to the media, to gossip." "They're innocent in all this, Ethan." "I know." Ethan paced the small shop, thinking hard. "Maybe you should take them away for a while, just until this blows over." Maya stared at him. "Away? You mean leave our home, the boys' school, my business?" "Ethan, we can't just run away because your ex-fiancée is throwing a tantrum." "It's not just a tantrum," Ethan said grimly. "Her family owns half the media outlets in this city. If she wants to make this ugly, she can." So what, we hide forever? Maya challenged. That's not a solution. Ethan stopped pacing, a determined look crossing his face. No, you're right. Running isn't the answer. He pulled out his phone. I need to end this once and for all. He stepped outside to make his call, leaving Maya to wonder what he planned to do. When he returned a few minutes later, his expression was calmer. I've arranged a meeting with Olivia and her father tomorrow, he explained. This ends now. What are you going to do? Maya asked warily. Tell the truth, Ethan said simply. All of it. About her mother and mine conspiring to break us up, about the fake letter, all of it. And if that doesn't work, he paused, let's just say I have some information about Reed Industries that their shareholders wouldn't be happy to learn. Maya was shocked. You'd blackmail them? To protect my sons? Yes. The fierceness in Ethan's voice sent a shiver down Maya's spine. I won't let anyone hurt you or the boys, Maya. Not even Olivia Reed. Ethan's protectiveness both touched and frightened Maya. This was a side of him she'd never seen before, the ruthless businessman who would do whatever it took to protect what was his. Just don't do anything you'll regret, she said softly. Ethan's expression softened. He stepped closer, taking her hands in his. The only thing I regret is the time I lost with you and the boys. I won't let anyone take any more time from us. Us? The word hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Ethan, Maya began, not sure what she wanted to say. Before she could continue, the shop door opened and Sarah hurried in, her face flushed with worry. Oh, thank goodness you're both here, she said breathlessly. I've been trying to call. What's wrong? Ethan asked. It's your father, Sarah said. He's had a heart attack. They've taken him to Memorial Hospital. Ethan's face paled. How bad is it? I don't know, Sarah admitted, but Dr. Hayes is with him. He said to come quickly. Ethan turned to Maya, torn between rushing to his father and his promise to protect her. Go, Maya said immediately. Your father needs you. But Olivia can wait, Maya finished firmly. This is your father, Ethan. Go. Ethan hesitated, then nodded. I'll call you as soon as I know anything. He kissed her cheek quickly, then followed Sarah out the door. Maya touched her cheek where his lips had been, worry for Richard Cross mingling with her concern about Olivia's threats. Despite their complicated history, she had always liked Ethan's father. He had been kind to her during her time working at the estate, always treating her with respect, and now he was fighting for his life, just as they all seemed to be finding their way back to each other. Please be okay, she whispered, not sure if she was thinking of Richard or of her own heart, which seemed more vulnerable with each passing day. Later that evening, after picking up the twins from preschool and getting them settled with dinner, Maya's phone rang. It was Ethan. How is he? She asked immediately. Stable, Ethan replied, sounding exhausted. It was a mild heart attack, thank God. They're keeping him for observation, but Dr. Hayes thinks he'll recover fully. That's wonderful news, Maya said, genuine relief in her voice. He's asking for you, Ethan said, surprising her, and the boys. He wants to meet his grandsons. Maya hadn't expected this. Ethan, I don't know. Please, Maya, it would mean a lot to him and to me. He's not a young man, and after today, life is too short for regrets. Maya looked at the twins, playing with their toys in the living room, blissfully unaware of the adult's complicated world. Richard Cross was their grandfather, their only living grandparent. Didn't they deserve to know him? Didn't he deserve to know them? "Okay," she said finally. "We'll come tomorrow after preschool." "Thank you," Ethan said, his voice thick with emotion. "I'll send a car for you, and Maya?" "Yes?" "Today, when I thought I might lose my father, it made me realize how precious family is, all of it. Even the messy parts, the difficult history, the painful memories. It's still family." Maya's heart constricted. "I understand." "Do you?" Ethan asked softly. "Because I'm starting to think that maybe we could be a family too. You, me, the boys. A real family." Maya caught her breath. "Ethan, it's not that simple." "I know," he admitted. "Nothing worth having ever is. But I'm willing to try if you are." Before Maya could respond, Lucas called from the living room. "Mummy, Liam broke the spaceship." "I have to go," Maya said quickly. "The boys need me." "Of course," Ethan said. "We'll talk tomorrow. Good night, Maya." "Good night," she whispered, ending the call. As she went to referee the twins' latest disagreement, Maya's mind was racing. Ethan wanted them to be a family, a real family. The thought both thrilled and terrified her. Could she trust him again? Could she risk her heart knowing how badly it had been broken before? And what about the twins? They were already growing attached to Ethan. If things fell apart again, they would be the ones most hurt. Yet as she watched her sons, Ethan's sons, playing together, their faces so like his when they concentrated, Maya couldn't help wondering if perhaps some risks were worth taking. If perhaps family, as Ethan had said, was worth fighting for. Even the messy, complicated, imperfect parts. Only time would tell. And tomorrow they would face another milestone together, introducing the twins to their grandfather, bringing the past and present together in ways she never could have imagined just a few weeks ago. Life was changing rapidly, spinning them all in new directions. All Maya could do was hold on tight and hope that this time the journey would lead somewhere better. The next day, a sleek black car pulled up outside Maya's apartment building, exactly at 3 o'clock. The twins pressed their faces against the window, watching with excitement. "Is that Mr. Ethan's car?" Lucas asked, bouncing on his toes. "Not exactly," Maya answered, helping Liam with his shoes. "Mr. Ethan sent it to pick us up." "Like Cinderella's carriage?" Liam's eyes widened. Maya smiled despite her nerves. "Sort of. Now remember what we talked about. We're going to the hospital to meet Mr. Ethan's daddy." "Our grandpa," Lucas interrupted. Maya hesitated. "Yes, your grandpa." "And hospitals are quiet places, so we need to use our inside voices and best behavior." "Because people are sleeping there?" Liam asked. "Because they're not feeling well and need rest," Maya explained. "So no running or shouting, okay?" "Okay," they promised in unison, their small faces suddenly serious. The driver helped them into the car, where Maya discovered 2 booster seats already installed, a thoughtful detail that had Ethan written all over it. During the drive, Maya tried to calm her racing heart. She hadn't seen Richard Cross since that awful day 5 years ago when she'd been escorted from the mansion. Would he blame her for disrupting Ethan's wedding? For keeping the twins a secret all these years? "Mummy, why do you look sad?" Lucas asked, his small hand covering hers. Maya forced a smile. "I'm not sad, baby. Just thinking." "About Grandpa being sick?" Liam asked. "Yes," Maya said, grateful for the simple explanation. About that. The hospital was a large modern building in the heart of the city. The driver escorted them inside, where Ethan waited in the lobby. The twins broke free from Maya's grip and ran to him, wrapping their arms around his legs. "Mr. Ethan, we came in a big black car," Lucas exclaimed. "It had special seats just for us," Liam added. Ethan knelt down, hugging them properly. "I'm so glad you're here. My dad, your grandpa, is really excited to meet you." He looked up at Maya, gratitude shining in his eyes. "Thank you for coming." Maya nodded, still too nervous for many words. Ethan led them to the elevator, keeping his voice cheerful for the twins' sake, but Maya could see the worry lines around his eyes. His father's heart attack had shaken him deeply. "How is he today?" she asked quietly, as the twins watched the elevator buttons light up. "Better," Ethan replied. "The doctor said his color is good, and his vitals are stable." "But he's still weak." On the 6th floor, they walked down a quiet hallway to a private room. Ethan paused outside the door. "Dad's hooked up to some machines that help the doctors monitor his heart," he explained to the twins. "They might look a little scary, but they're helping him get better." The boys nodded solemnly. "Are we allowed to hug him?" Liam asked. "Gently," Ethan said, smiling at the question. "Very gently." Inside the room, Richard Cross sat propped up in bed, looking smaller and older than Maya remembered. His silver hair was mussed, and his face was pale against the white hospital sheets, but his eyes, so like Ethan's, were alert and bright. Those eyes fixed on Maya first, widening slightly in recognition. Then they moved to the twins, and his whole face transformed with wonder. "My God," he whispered. "They look just like Ethan did at that age." Ethan guided the boys closer to the bed. "Dad, I'd like you to meet Lucas and Liam. Boys, this is your grandpa." The twins stared up at Richard with curiosity. "Are you feeling better now?" Lucas asked, the little scientist looking for data. "A bit better, yes," Richard answered, his voice rough with emotion. "Mummy says we have to be extra quiet because you need to rest," Liam informed him seriously. Richard smiled. "That's very thoughtful of you. And your mummy is right." He looked up at Maya, who still hung back near the door. "Hello, Maya." "Mr. Cross?" She nodded, her voice barely audible. "Please come closer," he requested. "Let me look at you all together." Maya stepped forward, standing behind the twins, her hands resting protectively on their shoulders. "I never thought I'd see this day," Richard said, his eyes suspiciously bright. "My son and his family, all together." Family. The word hung in the air between them. "Can we show Grandpa our dinosaur drawings?" Lucas asked, breaking the emotional tension. "I think he'd like that," Ethan said. The twins eagerly pulled folded papers from their pockets, drawings they had made specially for this visit after Maya told them their grandpa was sick. "This is a T-Rex," Lucas explained, holding up his picture. "They were really big and had sharp teeth for eating meat. And this is a long-necked dinosaur, Liam said, showing his drawing. They ate leaves from tall trees. Richard examined each drawing with genuine interest, asking questions that delighted the boys. As they chatted, Maya watched in amazement. This was a different Richard Cross than the stern businessman she remembered, warmer, gentler, more open. After a while, a nurse came in to check Richard's vitals. Ethan suggested taking the twins to the cafeteria for ice cream, leaving Maya alone with Richard. An uncomfortable silence fell between them once the others had gone. "Please sit down, Maya," Richard said, gesturing to the chair beside his bed. Maya perched on the edge of the seat, her back straight with tension. "I owe you an apology," Richard began, surprising her. "A long overdue one." Maya didn't know what to say, so she remained silent. "5 years ago, I knew what my wife and Olivia's mother were doing," Richard continued, his voice heavy with regret. "I knew they were plotting to separate you and Ethan. I didn't stop them." "In fact, I stood by and let it happen." Maya's throat tightened. "Why? Because I wasn't good enough for your son? Because I was just the maid?" "No," Richard said, shaking his head. "Because I was a coward. Because it was easier to go along with my wife's plans than to stand up for what was right. I saw how happy Ethan was with you. Happier than I'd ever seen him. But I was worried about appearances, about what our friends would say." He sighed heavily. "I was wrong." The simple admission stunned Maya. She had never expected an apology from Richard Cross, much less such a candid one. "When I saw you at the wedding, with those beautiful boys," Richard's voice broke, "I knew instantly they were Ethan's, and I knew what we had all lost because of our pride and prejudice." "They are amazing children," Maya said softly. "They deserved to know their father, their grandfather too." "Yes, they did," Richard agreed. "I can never get back those 5 years." "None of us can, but I'm hoping—" He paused, gathering himself. "I'm hoping it's not too late to be part of their lives now. And yours." Maya studied the old man's face, seeing genuine remorse there. She thought about her own childhood, growing up without grandparents, how much she had longed for that connection. "It's not too late," she said finally. "The boys need their grandpa." Relief washed over Richard's face. He reached out a trembling hand, which Maya took after a moment's hesitation. "Thank you," he whispered. "I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm grateful for it." Before Maya could respond, the door opened and the twins burst in, their faces smeared with ice cream, despite Ethan's best efforts with napkins. "Grandpa, the cafeteria has 3 kinds of ice cream," Lucas announced. "And Mr. Ethan let us have 2 scoops," Liam added excitedly. "Did he now?" Richard raised an eyebrow at his son, who shrugged sheepishly. "Special occasion," Ethan explained. The rest of the visit went smoothly, with the twins showing none of the shyness they typically had with strangers. They seemed to sense that Richard belonged to them somehow, that he was part of their expanding circle of family. When it was time to leave, the boys gave Richard careful hugs, promising to visit again soon. "And you can come to our birthday party," Lucas told him. "We're turning 6 next month." I wouldn't miss it for the world, Richard promised, his eyes meeting Maya's over the boys' heads, seeking permission. Maya nodded slightly, another piece falling into place. In the hallway outside Richard's room, Ethan pulled Maya aside while the twins examined a colorful mural on the wall. "Thank you for today," he said. "Dad hasn't looked that happy in years." "The boys enjoyed it too," Maya admitted. "And tomorrow?" Ethan asked. The meeting with Olivia and her father. Maya had almost forgotten about that in the emotion of the hospital visit. "What time?" 9 o'clock at my office. I've already arranged for Sarah to watch the boys." Maya hesitated. "Are you sure I need to be there? This is between you and Olivia." "It's about all of us now," Ethan said firmly. "Our family. I want you there, Maya. Please. Our family." Again those words that made her heart both soar and tremble. "Okay," she agreed. "I'll be there." So Ex-Maid. The next morning, Maya dressed with special care, choosing a simple but professional blue dress that Lena had helped her buy when she opened her shop. Her hands shook as she applied a touch of makeup and pulled her curly hair into a neat bun. Sarah arrived early to take the boys to preschool, giving Maya a supportive hug before they left. "It'll be fine," Sarah assured her. "Ethan won't let anything happen to you or the boys." "I know," Maya said. "I just hate confrontation." "Sometimes it's the only way forward," Sarah replied wisely. "Clear the path so you can all move on." The Cross Enterprises building dominated the downtown skyline, all glass and steel rising into the clouds. Maya felt small and out of place as she walked through the grand lobby, but the receptionist smiled warmly. "Miss Bennett, Mr. Cross is expecting you. Top floor, the executive elevator is right this way." Ethan was waiting when the elevator doors opened, looking handsome and powerful in a tailored suit. But his face, when he saw Maya, softened with a smile that was just for her. "You look beautiful," he said, taking her hand. "I feel like I'm heading into battle," Maya admitted. "You are," Ethan said, his voice serious, "but we're fighting together this time." He led her to a large conference room where 2 people already waited. Olivia, looking coldly elegant in a designer outfit, and an older man Maya recognized as Gregory Reed, Olivia's father and CEO of Reed Industries. "Ethan," Gregory stood to shake hands. "Let's make this quick. I have a board meeting at 11. "This will take exactly as long as necessary," Ethan replied evenly. He guided Maya to a seat beside him, across from the Reeds. "You remember Maya Bennett?" Gregory gave Maya a dismissive glance. "Yes, the maid." Maya felt her cheeks burn, but Ethan's hand found hers under the table, squeezing gently. "Maya is the mother of my children," Ethan corrected, his voice like steel, "and deserves your respect." Olivia rolled her eyes. "Can we get on with this? I have a brunch at the club." "By all means," Ethan said. "Let's get straight to the point. You've threatened to take private family matters to the press. That stops today." "Or what?" Olivia challenged. Ethan's face hardened. "Or I release documentation showing how Reed Industries has been falsifying environmental compliance reports for the past decade." Gregory's face went pale. "That's a lie." "Is it?" Ethan slid a folder across the table. "These came from your own internal servers, Gregory. Imagine what the EPA would do with this information, or your shareholders. Maya was shocked. She hadn't known Ethan had actual evidence against Reed Industries. This wasn't just a bluff. Gregory flipped through the folder, his expression growing grimmer with each page. Olivia looked confused, then increasingly worried as she realized her father's reaction. "Daddy, what is he talking about?" Gregory closed the folder with a snap. "Nothing. It's nothing." "It's fraud," Ethan corrected. "Potentially criminal fraud, the kind that ends careers and reputations." "You wouldn't," Gregory said, but uncertainty crept into his voice. "To protect my family, I absolutely would." Ethan's tone left no room for doubt. A tense silence filled the room. Maya watched as Gregory and Olivia exchanged glances, silent communication passing between them. "What do you want?" Gregory asked finally. "It's simple. You leave Maya and our children alone. No stories to the press, no photos, no harassment of any kind. You both sign NDAs today, and this folder stays locked in my safe instead of being sent to the EPA." "This is blackmail," Olivia hissed. "No," Maya spoke up, finding her voice at last. "This is protection. We're protecting our children from being used as pawns in your revenge game." Olivia turned her glare on Maya. "You stole my fiancé." "Your fiancé and I were over the moment I discovered my sons," Ethan interrupted. "Even without Maya at the wedding, the result would have been the same. We weren't right for each other, Olivia. We both know that." A flash of hurt crossed Olivia's face, quickly masked by anger. But Maya caught it, a glimpse of genuine pain beneath the cold exterior. "The NDAs are reasonable," Gregory said, taking control of the situation. "We'll sign them." "Daddy," Olivia protested. "Enough, Olivia. This ends now." Gregory's tone was final. "Ethan, have your lawyers draw up the papers. We'll sign them today." Ethan nodded. "They're already prepared, in the conference room next door." Gregory stood, adjusting his tie. "Fine, let's get this over with." As he headed for the door, he paused beside Maya. "For what it's worth, I knew nothing about what my wife and Catherine Cross did 5 years ago. I don't approve of such underhanded tactics." "But you didn't stop it either," Maya pointed out quietly. Gregory had the grace to look ashamed. "No, I didn't. Another regret to add to my list." He glanced at Ethan. "Don't make the same mistakes I have, son. Family, real family, is what matters in the end." With that, he left, calling for Olivia to follow. She stood slowly, smoothing her skirt. "This isn't over," she said to Ethan. "Not really." "Yes, it is," Ethan replied firmly. "Move on, Olivia. Find someone who loves you the way you deserve to be loved." Something flashed in Olivia's eyes, a moment of vulnerability, of realization, perhaps. Then it was gone, her mask firmly back in place. "I hope she's worth it," she said, then walked out, her head high. When they were alone, Maya let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "That was intense." Ethan nodded, running a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry you had to be part of that." "No, you were right. I needed to be here." Maya studied his face. "Would you really have sent those documents to the EPA?" "To protect you and the boys, yes." Ethan's answer was immediate. "But I'm glad it didn't come to that." "Me too," Maya said softly. I don't want our family built on other people's destruction. Ethan's eyes lit up at her words. Our family. Maya hadn't meant to say it quite that way, but now that it was out, she didn't want to take it back. The boys need both of us, Ethan. They need their father. And what about you? Ethan asked, moving closer. What do you need, Maya? The question caught her off guard. For so long, she had focused only on the twins' needs, pushing her own desires aside. I need... She hesitated, then decided on honesty. I need someone I can trust, someone who won't throw me away when things get hard. I'm not that man from 5 years ago, Ethan said earnestly. I've changed. Or maybe I've just remembered who I really am, the man you used to love. Maya's heart squeezed. I never stopped loving that man, she admitted in a whisper. I just stopped believing he existed. Ethan took her hands in his. Give me a chance to prove he does. To prove I can be the man you and the boys deserve. Before Maya could respond, Ethan's assistant knocked on the door. Mr. Cross, the lawyers are ready with the documents. Ethan sighed. We'll finish this conversation later, he promised Maya. Tonight? Dinner at your place with the boys? Maya nodded, her heart too full for words. That evening, the small apartment was filled with the sounds of laughter and the smell of spaghetti, the twins' favorite dinner. Ethan had arrived with a bottle of sparkling cider for the adults and a gallon of chocolate milk for the boys, earning him hero status in their eyes. Mr. Ethan, watch me twirl my sketty. Lucas demonstrated his technique with his fork, sauce splattering everywhere. Very impressive, Ethan praised, helping to clean up the mess. I can do it bigger, Liam declared, attempting an even more ambitious twirl. Careful, buddy, Ethan laughed, catching a meatball before it rolled off the table. Your mum worked hard on this dinner. The easy way he handled the boys' energy and mess touched Maya deeply. There was no sign of impatience or disgust, just genuine enjoyment of their chaotic little family dinner. After the meal, Ethan helped with the dishes while the boys picked out a bedtime story. It felt so natural, so right, having him there in her small kitchen, their hands touching as they passed wet plates between them. The NDAs are signed, Ethan said quietly. It's over. Olivia and her father won't be a problem anymore. Maya nodded, relief washing over her. Thank you for protecting us. Always, Ethan promised. Maya, about what we were discussing earlier. Story time, the twins called from the living room, interrupting the moment. Ethan smiled. To be continued. Later, after the boys were tucked into bed, with 2 stories and 3 glasses of water between them, Maya and Ethan sat on the small balcony outside her apartment. The city lights spread out below them, a sea of twinkling stars. They asked me something tonight, Ethan said, breaking the comfortable silence, while you were in the kitchen getting their water. What was that? Maya asked. They asked if they could call me Daddy instead of Mr. Ethan. Maya's breath caught. What did you say? I told them they needed to ask you first, Ethan replied. I said it was a big decision that we all needed to talk about together. That was the right answer, Maya said softly. What do you think? Ethan asked, uncertainty in his voice. Is it too soon? Maya looked at him in the dim light of the balcony, seeing the hope and fear in his eyes. They've already accepted you as their father, Ethan. The name is just catching up to the reality. Relief washed over his face. So, it's okay if they call me Daddy? Yes, Maya nodded. It's more than okay. Ethan reached for her hand, his touch warm and familiar. And what about us, Maya? Where do we stand? Maya took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth, the cliff edge she had been approaching since that day at the wedding. I'm scared, she admitted. Terrified, actually. Last time I trusted you with my heart, it nearly destroyed me when you turned away. I know, Ethan said, his voice thick with regret. And I will spend the rest of my life making that up to you, if you'll let me. But, Maya continued, I'm also scared of not trying. Half letting fear keep us apart when we could be together, a real family like the boys deserve. Hope blazed in Ethan's eyes. What are you saying, Maya? I'm saying I want to try, she whispered. Slowly, one day at a time. But I want to see if we can build something real together, something that lasts. Ethan's smile was like the sun breaking through clouds. He leaned forward, cupping her face gently in his hands. May I kiss you? Maya nodded, her heart racing as his lips met hers, softly at first, then with growing passion. It felt like coming home after a long journey, familiar yet new at the same time. When they broke apart, both breathless, Ethan rested his forehead against hers. I love you, Maya Bennett. I never stopped loving you even when I thought I did. I love you too, Maya whispered back. The words she had kept locked away for 5 long years finally set free. A small noise from the doorway made them turn. 2 small figures in dinosaur pajamas stood watching them, identical grins on their sleepy faces. Are you kissing? Lucas asked, giggling. That means you love each other, Liam added knowingly. Like in the princess movies. Maya and Ethan exchanged amused glances. Yes, Ethan said. It means exactly that. Does this mean you're staying? Lucas asked hopefully. Not tonight, buddy, Ethan replied. But soon. We're going to spend lots of time together, all of us. As a family? Liam asked. Ethan looked at Maya, waiting for her lead. Yes, she said, her heart full to bursting. As a family. Yay! The twins cheered, rushing forward to hug them both. As Maya held her sons close, with Ethan's arms around all of them, she marveled at life's unexpected turns, from heartbreak to healing, from loneliness to love. The journey hadn't been easy, but standing here now, surrounded by love, she knew every step had been worth it. Back to bed, you two, she said, kissing each tousled head. It's late. Will you both tuck us in? Lucas asked. Please? Liam added. Maya and Ethan shared a smile. Of course we will, Ethan said, taking one small hand in each of his. Lead the way. Later, after the boys were truly asleep and Ethan was preparing to leave, he pulled a small box from his pocket. I'm not proposing, he said quickly, seeing Maya's startled expression. Not yet. That will come when we're both ready. He opened the box to reveal the silver bracelet with the book charm, the one he had given her 5 years ago, the one she had kept all this time. Sarah told me you still had this, Ethan said. I was hoping you might wear it again, as a promise that this time our story will have a better ending. Maya held out her wrist, letting him fasten the bracelet. Not an ending, she corrected gently, a beginning for all of us. Ethan kissed her once more, a seal on their new promise. A beginning, he agreed, the best one yet. 1 month later, the Cross estate was transformed for a very special occasion, the twins' 6th birthday party. The garden was decorated with dinosaur and space-themed balloons. A bouncy castle dominated one corner, and a professional face painter was turning children into tigers, butterflies, and yes, dinosaurs. Maya stood on the terrace, watching the celebration with wonder. If someone had told her a few months ago that she would be hosting her son's birthday party at the Cross mansion, with Ethan by her side as a proud father, she would have thought they were crazy. Yet, here they were. "Penny for your thoughts," Ethan said, coming up beside her, slipping an arm around her waist. "Just thinking about how much has changed," Maya replied, leaning into him. "It's like a dream." "A good dream, I hope," Ethan said, dropping a kiss on her temple. "The best," Maya confirmed. Across the lawn, Richard sat in a comfortable chair, supervising a game of pin the tail on the dinosaur. He was still recovering from his heart attack, but his color was good, and his laugh was strong as he helped a blindfolded Liam find his way toward the target. "Dad loves being a grandpa," Ethan observed. "I've never seen him so relaxed, so happy." "The boys adore him too," Maya said. "Lucas asked if we could move Grandpa's bed into their room so he could tell them stories every night." Ethan chuckled. "Don't give Dad any ideas." "He's already talking about converting the guest wing into a playroom." Sarah approached, carrying a tray of lemonade. "Everything's ready for the cake when you are, and the photographer would like to get some family pictures soon before the sugar rush hits." Family pictures. Another milestone Maya hadn't expected. Portraits of her and the boys and Ethan together, a visual record of their new beginning. "Thanks, Sarah," Ethan said. "We'll round up the troops in a few minutes." As Sarah walked away, Ethan turned to Maya, a sudden seriousness in his eyes. "Actually, there's something I want to ask you before we do the cake." "What is it?" Maya asked. Ethan took both her hands in his. "The boys' school year ends next month." "I know," Maya said, confused by the change in subject. "They're excited about summer break." "I was thinking—" Ethan hesitated. "What if we spend the summer here? All of us, together at the estate?" "It would give us time to really be a family, to see if this is what we all want long-term." Maya blinked, surprised by the offer. "You mean, move in here? Temporarily?" "Yes," Ethan nodded. "Just for the summer. The boys would love the pool and the garden. You could have the entire East Wing to yourselves if you want space, or—" He swallowed. "Or you could share the master suite with me. Whatever you're comfortable with." The thought of living in the mansion again brought a swirl of emotions. This was where it had all started, where she had fallen in love with Ethan, where their hearts had connected despite the differences in their worlds. It was also where she had been rejected, where her heart had been broken, But it wasn't the same place anymore, or rather they weren't the same people. "What do you think?" Ethan asked when she didn't immediately respond. "I think—" Maya chose her words carefully, "that the boys would love it. But Ethan, my shop is only 15 minutes away by car," he finished. "And you've been talking about hiring an assistant anyway, with all the new contracts coming in." He was right. Thanks to his connections, Bennett Floral Designs was thriving, with more business than Maya could handle alone. "We could try it," she said slowly, "as an experiment." Ethan's face lit up with joy. "Really? You'll think about it?" "I'll do more than think about it," Maya said, making her decision. "I'll say yes. For the summer, at least." Ethan pulled her into his arms, hugging her tightly. "You've made me the happiest man alive, Maya Bennett. You and those amazing boys." "Daddy, Mommy!" Lucas called, running up to them with a blue frosted dinosaur painted on his cheek. "Grandpa says it's cake time." "Cake time," Liam echoed, right behind his brother, sporting a matching dinosaur in green. "We're coming," Ethan said, taking Lucas's hand while Maya took Liam's. As they walked together toward the gathering of friends and family around the dinosaur-shaped birthday cake, Maya felt a sense of rightness wash over her. This was where they belonged, not in this mansion specifically, but together, as a family. The journey had been long and filled with heartache, but it had led them here, to this perfect moment of joy and belonging. And whatever the future held, whether they stayed at the estate or found a new home together, whether more children joined their family or they remained a foursome, they would face it together, because love once found always finds its way home.